I think it's recording. Yeah. Whenever you're ready.
Hi everyone. Morning.
Morning.
I forgot that I'm supposed to do this. Meeting to order, blah, blah, blah. Hi everyone online. Sorry, a little brain fart here. Any announcements? I have one. Chris Joel from the health department is here right now. All right.
Been many years. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, septic system guru figured that he could come watch a volunteer presentation, and maybe one day he retires, he can go search for HABs on the lake and report them.
Okay.
Okay, see, very amenable.
Thank you.
Any old business besides minutes? No, okay, minutes, motion.
I made a motion. That's Anne.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
I.
Aye. All right, presentation. Grayson? That's how you see your name.
Yeah,
Okay.
got it. Michelle, I'm on mute on my computer. I talk kind of loud, so hopefully that will work for the folks.
I can move this a little closer. Since I don't need to be.
Grayson is the Community Science Institute Executive Director, and she will be presenting on monitoring water quality in the Cayuga Lake watershed with volunteers in Cayuga County. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Ani, and thank you all for having me. As Ani said, I'm the Executive Director of Community Science Institute. I've been with the organization for about 2 years now. I have a little agenda for you all today. I'll start with an introduction to Community Science Institute, or CSI, for those of you who aren't familiar with us. And then I'll talk about 3 of our monitoring programs in Cayuga County, and then there'll be time for questions at the end. So we'll start with an introduction to CSI. So how many folks are familiar with Community Science Institute? You've heard of it, you think you know what we do, you kind of know. Okay, good. So CSI is a 501c3 nonprofit, and we're a New York State Department of Health Environmental Laboratory Approval Program certified lab, or ELAP certified lab. Like all nonprofits, we're driven by our mission, which is to foster and support environmental monitoring in partnership with community-based volunteer groups in order to better understand our shared natural resources and how to manage them for long-term sustainability and protection. We offer 3 main types of programs at CSI. The first is water quality monitoring partnerships done in collaboration with local volunteers. The second is fee-for-service water testing. And the third is outreach and education about water science. Today, I'm just going to be covering volunteer water monitoring partnerships because that's all we have time for today. But if you have questions at the end about our drinking water services or about the outreach and education we offer to the community, please feel free to ask at the end. So, Michelle, I'm just going to tell you that I see on the screen here that it's not doing the same things as my slides, so I'm a little baffled.
Where is it at?
It's on the last slide.
Without the,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Well, what I can do is I will share your slide.
Okay.
And you can.
All right. Do you want me to stop sharing then?
Yeah. Let me just open that up.
It's like I got kicked out of the meeting or something. I'm not sure. Thank you, Michelle. Sorry.
Yep. Oh, it's on here somewhere. Come on, open up. I've got too much stuff on my desktop.
Are you just going to share it from Michelle's computer?
Michelle has my slides. Yeah, he's gonna pull them up.
That my computer is deciding to freeze.
Has anybody seen any Orioles yet?
Yes.
Yes,
Oh,
me too.
Yes.
Oh, great. Any hummingbirds?
Yes.
No, it's bluebirds,
Wow.
nesting and wrens. Lots of other things.
Robins.
And
Oh.
I'm seeing an eagle just about every day.
Oh,
So
great.
now it's just becoming normal.
Yeah, we got a couple of ugly called ones.
Yeah.
Been there for a couple of years.
Yeah.
I just put up my hummingbird feeder yesterday because I saw an eBird that people have spotted them around us. I live in Locke, so I'm trying to see.
Good.
Yeah.
So ruby throated.
Yeah.
We are a few weeks early in migration. You
Mhm.
just see things differently.
Sorry,
The still really interesting bird for warblers.
Come on, open.
I've heard some people have already seen some warblers.
Yeah, they'll be here. They are.
If anybody wants the ones that were outside my window this morning at 4:15, you can come by and pick them up. Very nice. Yeah. Yeah. It was.
You put on your air conditioner and you have that white noise.
It's better than kicking the kidney from a 4-year-old, but not a lot.
We have a northern harrier that's been hanging around for a couple of years now.
Can you see that now?
So they keep coming back.
Yeah.
It says I'm sharing my screen.
Let me see. No, I don't have any questions for Grace and so.
So you can't see that?
I haven't logged on. I still can't figure out how to connect to the.
Nobody can see that?
No, just a black screen.
Try again.
What does ELAB stand for?
Environmental Laboratory Approval Program. It's basically our accrediting body.
Anything?
No, black screen.
Why is it showing up differently there?
Because I'm not sharing anymore.
Okay.
Okay, I'll just do this. I'm sorry, guys. I'll email you the slides if you.
There's only a couple people online. You want to send it to me too?
Yep.
And I'll see if I can.
Who's online? Frank, okay. And then I'll send you the slides, so if you want to follow it that way, and then I'll move the computer.
Laboratories existed in the state.
In the state, I'm not sure because there are lots of labs, but they might not necessarily be certified in the same number of analytes. So there's some smaller.
It's
ones that might have
backwards
one
to you, isn't it?
they test.
There are also labs out of state that are ELAB certified in New York. So like
Yeah.
you can send stuff to Florida, Ohio, Pennsylvania are three of the more common ones that run samples.
LI is the only one that's in the county.
Yes. Well, technically not. No.
Like Chris. I gotta get closer to people to see who anybody.
Bring your glasses.
But they're close range. Even binoculars.
Try one more time. Anything?
You sent it to me as well.
Oh, sorry. I didn't.
Auburn has a ELAB certified.
Auburn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but they don't accept outside samples unless it's like an emergency.
Thanks for that correction.
Maybe you can share it. It's telling me I'm sharing my screen. But it's not.
Michelle, I think if you just point the laptop camera at the screen, we'll be okay. I don't think you have to worry about the four of us who are online. I've been 5, 4.
Can you see that? Is it backwards to you?
No,
Nope.
it's fine.
Okay,
It's for,
turn it back.
we can see it.
Showing backwards on my screen.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay, the moment we've all been waiting for, volunteer water monitoring partnership. So at Community Science Institute, we have 4 main monitoring partnerships or programs. And they're depicted by this map here. All of the icons on here reflect different areas where we are sampling or have sampled in the past. We have our synoptic stream and lake monitoring program, which is our longest running program. Our harmful algal bloom monitoring program, which occurs just on Cayuga Lake. Our biomonitoring program for benthic macroinvertebrates, and red flag monitoring program. In total, between these 4 programs, the Institute is recruiting, training, and coordinating over 250 local volunteers. So first, we'll talk about our longest running program, the Synoptic Stream and Lake Monitoring Program. The purpose of this monitoring is to produce regulatory quality stream and lake water chemistry data that can inform water resource management decisions, as well as keep the public informed on the state of their local water resources. So in this program, volunteers are specifically monitoring for nutrients like total phosphorus, soluble reactive phosphorus, nitrate plus nitrite nitrogen, sediments, bacteria, salt, and other general water quality indicators like pH, hardness, alkalinity, turbidity, and conductivity. Our volunteers work in teams, and within those teams, they're collecting samples from their designated stream or streams 3 times each year. They then collect the samples and bring them to CSI's lab so that we're producing state-certified analyses. In Cayuga County, we monitor 7 different streams and 1 location at the very northern headwaters of Fall Creek watershed. So we have Yager Creek subwatershed up here, Great Gully, Deans Creek, Paynes Creek, Mill Creek, Town Line Creek, and then of course this here is Salmon Creek, only highlighted in the section that's in Cayuga County. And we're very grateful for Cayuga County for having supported this stream monitoring program on these streams since 2018. So next I want to show you a little bit of data. I want to show you specifically some nutrient data from 2023 on these streams. So I am going to ask for a little bit of participation, but I promise you don't have to speak out loud at all. I want you to look at these streams on this map and think about what you might know about them, what you might know about the geography, the land use, the geology, and think which stream here do you think might have the highest and the lowest nitrogen level and phosphorus level? Just think about it. You don't have to share. You can write it down. All right, now that you've had a chance to think, I'm going to show you the results for average nitrate plus nitrite nitrogen levels on these streams and how they compare to the rest of the streams in the Cayuga Lake watershed for just 2023. Okay, so on this graph here, we have the same streams that I just showed you on the map, and then the yellow bar represents all streams in the Cayuga Lake watershed. On the y-axis here, we have the average nitrate plus nitrite concentration that was analyzed in 2023, just under base flow conditions, so no stormwater data is depicted here. I also have 2 lines here that are guidance values to put the data into context. So this pink line is the Hudson Basin River Watch guidance value for a healthy stream. It's 1 milligram per liter, but full disclosure, this is not an enforceable limit. It's just to use as a reference. The drinking water standard is represented here in purple. That's 10 milligrams per liter. Again, this is not enforceable in this situation because it's only for Class A streams for drinking water. It's just here for a reference for you. So taking a look at this graph, we see that on average, Town Line Creek, that little tiny creek in the southern portion of Cayuga County, has the highest average nitrate plus nitrite nitrogen, and Great Gully Creek has the lowest average nitrate plus nitrite nitrogen. Compared to all of the streams in the watershed, the nitrate plus nitrite nitrogen is higher in Cayuga County on average, or at least it was in 2023. Does this agree with what anybody was thinking? You can just nod or give me a...
But Mill Creek, I'm not certain where Town Line Creek is.
It's just south of Mill Creek, yeah. It's or excuse me, just, yeah, Mill Creek is this like mauve color, and then green is Town Line Creek. Very small. We only have 2 locations on that creek. Any surprises? Okay. It takes some time for things to marinate sometimes. We're going to look at phosphorus now. So think about what you had thought before, which stream might have the highest phosphorus concentration on average and which one you think might have the lowest. Maybe your answer has changed now that you've seen the nitrate plus nitrite. All right, let's take a look at phosphorus. So again, we have the streams in Cayuga County here on the x-axis, and with the far right yellow bar representing the average of all the streams in the watershed. This time, instead of nitrate plus nitrite nitrogen, we're looking at average total phosphorus from 2023, again, just under base flow conditions. Once again, I have two guidance values here for you. In pink is 20 micrograms per liter, which is the DEC's guidance value for the Cayuga Lake TMDL. This is, again, not an enforceable limit, just a reference. And in purple, I have the EPA's guidance value for streams in our ecoregion, which is 33 micrograms per liter. Again, not enforceable, just a guidance value. So here we see that on average, Yager Creek had the highest total phosphorus in Cayuga County in 2023, and Mill Creek had the lowest. Some of these streams, like Mill Creek and Salmon Creek, were slightly below what we see on average in the rest of the watershed. The rest of the creeks were generally higher. One thing I want to point out to you is what I'm showing you right now are averages, and averages can sometimes be thrown off by an extreme value. And so in this little call out here, I mentioned that there's one site on Yager Creek called Cork and Town Line Road, and it had the third highest base flow total phosphorus concentration in all of the monitoring that we've done throughout the watershed. It's falling behind a very contaminated culvert in Fall Creek and the Trumansburg Creek wastewater treatment facility outfall. Then is Yager Creek, Cork, and Town Line Road. That concentration was 687 micrograms per liter. If you were to ask me to do the same exercise that you all did before, when I said which creek in Cayuga County do you think would have the highest average total phosphorus, I probably would have guessed without looking at the data, Deans Creek, because I'm often looking at this data, checking it. I'm used to seeing some sites that have high phosphorus on Deans Creek. But because we had one really high level on Yager Creek, it throws that average off a little bit. So just want to be fully transparent about why we might be seeing values like that. In general, Deans Creek, there's not a lot of variation. They're usually quite high. If you're like, wow, I love data now, I want to dig into the data a lot deeper, I have good news for you. All of the data that I just showed you is stored on our public water quality database, and you can explore it in much more detail. So I'm going to take a little bit of time to take you to our database, and it always does this. So let me just play around here. While I am getting this to work, has anybody visited our database before? Nobody's been, I know Anne has.
Sorry.
Yeah, Ani has. Okay, good. So this is the homepage of our database, database.communityscience.org. And to see data similar to what I showed you before, you want to navigate to Streams and Lakes Chemistry. And you'll see a map. This map has pins that represent anywhere in the state of New York where we have collected and analyzed a water sample. For us, we want to narrow that down a little bit so we can select a monitoring region. It's kind of small, probably for those in the back. You want to select Cayuga Lake watershed, and then the map will refresh and just show the Cayuga Lake watershed sampling sites. From there, you can select any stream that you're interested in. So perhaps maybe we wanted to see more detail about Salmon Creek. You could select Salmon Creek, and the map will refresh and show you just the Salmon Creek sites. From there, there's a graph at the bottom of each map that will show you the average of any analyte you want to explore. So we could select something like chloride, perhaps, from the dropdown, and the map will automatically refresh with chloride results. Now, this will show you the average for every single monitoring event we've ever had on Salmon Creek since we started monitoring it in 2006. The graphs are ordered from downstream to upstream so that you can see changes across location. We also show the data for base flow versus storm flow. So the blue dots represent base flow and brown diamonds represent stormwater. For some analytes, we also have guidance values. So for chloride, we use 50 milligrams per liter as a guidance value. Now, these are the averages across every single monitoring event. You might want to look a little bit deeper and look at what's more recent. So you can do that easily by going to this table here on the right, which lists all of the monitoring events. So this is the most recent monitoring event, October 3rd, 2023. And for those in the back, this is the same order for the locations that you saw in the last graph. So downstream to upstream, so you can see changes across space. And this time it's showing you every single analyte that was monitored during that event. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm getting nothing from this graph as it is right now. So one of the features we have is you can click off the different analytes, so you're only seeing what you're interested in. So maybe I just want to see total phosphorus and soluble reactive phosphorus. This is much easier to read than what we were looking at before. So you can see that some of these upstream locations had relatively higher total phosphorus, but as we move to the mouth, phosphorus was quite low at 8.38 micrograms per liter. Very good. If you're not really all that into graphs, all that same information is in tables below. Now, maybe you just want to hone in on one location. You can do that. So if you go back to this page, the monitoring set page for Salmon Creek, you can select a location from this table on the left. So let's look at the mouth. It will show you the mouth site. And then when you scroll down, you can see the data for every single monitoring event that has ever occurred. So if we want to go back to chloride again, we can see it graphed here. This is really helpful for seeing changes over time. So if you have somebody come to you and ask, are chloride concentrations increasing on Salmon Creek? This is a really easy way you can get that data. A lot of folks also will ask us, well, are there seasonal trends? That's something else you can answer from this page. So down below, we include monthly averages for any analyte you're interested in. So here, if we look at just base flow, we can see, all right, on average, the chloride concentrations at the mouth tend to be higher in December and November. So that's a little peek at the database. I'm going to go back to the main presentation, but as I'm doing that, I do want you to know that we have YouTube tutorials on how to use the database. And if there's ever some type of question you're trying to answer with the data and you're stumped, you're not sure how to get there, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to meet with folks and help you find the answers to your questions.
Reason I tried to share my screen. Can you see it up there?
I'm not logged in anymore.
Okay.
Oh, I can see it
Yes,
from
we
right
can
here, and
see
it does seem
that.
to be
It looks
working.
good.
Okay, great.
Okay. All right, so we're going to say goodbye to streams and lakes monitoring, and now we're going to take a look at harmful algal bloom monitoring in Cayuga County. So the Cayuga Lake Harmful Algal Bloom Monitoring Partnership is led by Community Science Institute in collaboration with the Cayuga Lake Watershed Network and Discover Cayuga Lake. Since 2018, we have been working together to monitor HABs on Cayuga Lake for the purpose of collecting actionable data on the cyanobacteria blooms, protecting public health, and relaying bloom information and testing results quickly and efficiently. The way this program works is HABs carriers will perform weekly shoreline surveys for HABs along their designated shoreline zones. If they see a HAB, they report it to CSI through our HABs hotline, and they also collect a sample. The samples are then analyzed in CSI's state certified lab, and then CSI will alert the public in a number of different avenues, which I'll describe next. Those HAB samples that are brought to the lab, they are tested for a number of things. First, we're looking at them under the scope to determine what type of cyanobacteria are present and dominant in the sample. We measure chlorophyll A to determine how dense the bloom is. And we also measure cyanotoxins, namely microcystin toxin, because that is the most common that we see throughout Cayuga Lake, and it is the only toxin with a certified test. All of the bloom information that's reported out goes onto our HABs database. And we also report all blooms to our local county health departments and to DEC. So if you've ever seen the DEC NIHABs map, most of the blooms you're seeing on there are coming from CSI and CSI volunteers. This map here shows you the general coverage of harmful algal bloom monitoring in Cayuga County. Those are the sections highlighted in blue. Our HABs harriers are monitoring more than 50% of the shoreline in Cayuga County. And we also have members of the public who our new harmful algal bloom monitoring program coordinator, Alyssa Johnson. Her email is up here for anybody who's interested. So next I'm going to show you some HABs data from 2018 to 2023. If somebody were to ask you, are HABs increasing on Cayuga Lake, or have they increased since 2018? What would you say? Okay.
They peaked and went down.
Somebody's been paying attention to the data. Okay, so great. This graph here shows you each year that we've been doing this monitoring program. And then on the y-axis, we have the number of HABs that have been reported. The colors here also reflect different concentrations of microcystin. So the gray represents any samples that were not tested for microcystin. Yellow is any sample that tested less than 0.3 micrograms per liter. That's both the drinking water limit for microcystin and the reporting limit for our test. Orange represents anything between 0.3 micrograms per liter and 4 micrograms per liter, which is the contact recreation limit. And red represents anything greater than 4 micrograms per liter. So as was said, yeah, HABs have been generally increasing. They peaked in 2021, and in 2022 and 2023, they kind of plateaued a little bit. This is one of the reasons that long-term monitoring is so important. A lot of people might say, oh, HABs are increasing, but there's a little bit of nuance to that, right? We're starting to see a plateau. Maybe it will increase this year. I have my fingers crossed for a decrease. But this is why we need this monitoring to happen so that we can speak accurately about what's happening with HABs on the lake. Something else I want to point out is the microcystin toxin concentration. So you can see that pretty much every year except 2019, more than 50% of the harmful algal blooms had microcystin toxins greater than the contact recreation limit. So if you know the health department and the DEC's stances on HABs, it's see it, avoid it. It's for very good reason. More than half of them are considered not safe to swim in, and I just personally wouldn't want to take any chances if it were me. Okay. Next, I'm going to show you how the HABs have broken down by each of the 3 counties where we are monitoring. So on the x-axis, we have the years of the monitoring program, and on the y-axis, we have the number of HABs reports that we've received. Blue bars are Cayuga County, purple is Seneca, and green is Tompkins County. I'm wondering if this matches what your expectations were. Yeah, you got it, Seth. So that's actually something we have volunteers comment a lot. So this is not necessarily me showing any causal data. This is just where the number of reports happen. But we have had volunteers note, our volunteers in Seneca County will say, the water is really choppy, really windy. I'll see a bloom starting to form and then it dissipates really quickly. And especially when the wind is moving up towards the northwest, or excuse me, northeast. So that can certainly contribute to that too.
Has there been any change in the number of monitoring locations, or has monitoring been pretty consistent over this 5-year period? So from 2018 to 2019, it was much more sparse, but from 2020 to 2023, it's been rather consistent, and if anything, only increased in coverage in all 3 counties. This is about all the time I have for HABs today, but I will be speaking at the Cayuga Lake Watershed Network's Cayuga Lake Spring Conference. Date TBD, Liz will let us know. But if you want to learn more about HABs on Cayuga Lake, I encourage you to please come to that conference. I had mentioned that the HABs data is posted on our HABs database. So I would like to give you a quick peek at that. Before we were looking at streams and lakes. And now I'd like to take you to the HABs database. So if you go to database.communityscience.org, and you click on harmful algal blooms from the left-hand menu, it will take you to our HABs monitoring page. And unfortunately, it looks like I have lost Wi-Fi, so let's see if it will refresh. While it's doing that, it will show you this map, which shows every single bloom that's ever occurred on Cayuga Lake. It looks a little bit scary, but during the HABs monitoring season, you can flip through this menu and you can see all the HABs that have occurred within the last 7 days, last 2 weeks, and last 30 days. So this can help show you the HABs that were most recent. Right now, it's telling us there's no HABs found for this range. Thank goodness, we're not ready for them yet. The HABs on here, just like in the graph I showed you before, are color-coded based on their level of toxicity and whether or not they are a confirmed or a suspicious bloom. Something I think is really cool about this database is that you can explore HABs over time within given segments. So if my Wi-Fi is working, I should be able to show you this segment page. So in our HABs program, we break the lake up into different segments, and they're usually described by geographic hotspots. So Harris Park to Frontenac Park. So here you can see any HAB that's ever occurred there. And this can be really helpful for seeing, okay, where do HABs occur most frequently within that area and how toxic are those blooms? So we have lots of red pins up here. It's pretty common for the north end of the lake, not just in Cayuga County, but in Seneca County as well. And then on this map here, or excuse me, this graph here is the number of HABs reports that have happened each month by year. So if you want to see, okay, when do HABs happen most frequently in this area of the lake, you can do that. So here we see August and September tend to be the heaviest hitting months for this area. Not too much of a surprise there. If you wanted to see how they have changed, if you want to just look at 1 year, so how did it look in 2023? So we had no HABs reports in July of 2023, a peak of 6 in August, 4 in September, and 3 in October. So this is a really easy way you can look at that change over time. And then you can also go and get more information about a given bloom. So let me find a bloom from 2023. Oh, this is a very toxic one. All right, so this one was reported on September 20th, 2023. Its microcystin concentration was 1,003 micrograms per liter. So if you remember, the contact recreation limit is 4 micrograms per liter. We can also see which type of cyanobacteria were present, so microcystis, Stilicospermum, and Pseudoanabina. And the total chlorophyll concentration is reported here as well. And eventually, you'll also be able to see photos of the blooms on here too. So that's a little peek at our HABs database. Just like our streams and lakes database, we have a YouTube tutorial that can walk you through how to use this database. And again, I'm also happy to meet with folks if they want some more information. All right, to wrap things up, I'm going to cover our biomonitoring program in Cayuga County. So the purpose of our biomonitoring program is to determine the ecological and long-term health of streams while also educating our community members about our local aquatic biodiversity. I was in my past life a biologist, so I think this program is so cool because people actually get to be out in the stream and interact with the animals that live there. The way it works is volunteers collect samples of benthic macroinvertebrates or stream bugs during the summer, and then they sort and identify those organisms during open lab nights in the winter. So volunteers are able to be involved year-round in this program. What we're doing with those benthic macroinvertebrates is we are calculating total family richness, so how many different types of species there are, EPT richness, which is the number of different mayflies, stoneflies, and caddisflies, family biotic index, which tells us how tolerant to pollution the organisms are that are present, percent model affinity, which tells us how closely the community we collected matches up to what's considered a pristine New York stream community. And then we take all of those metrics together and we put them into one number that's called a biological assessment profile. And that biological assessment profile tells us whether a stream is non-impacted, slightly impacted, moderately, or severely impacted. We do not currently have this data on our database, but we do have all of the results posted on PDFs on our website. So we haven't done much biomonitoring in Cayuga County, not since 2021 and 2022. But I did want to show you the results because we would love to do some more monitoring here. And so if you or somebody you know would be interested in getting involved, this is a great thing to do with kids too. So if you have any of those, or if you know any, I highly recommend this type of work with them. So what we're looking at here are results from monitoring upstream of Route 90 on Great Gully Creek. And really what we're going to focus on is the biological assessment profile value. So what this is telling us is that there's a slight impact, but there's a caveat here. We really need to have 100 organisms to have a good count or to be able to accurately calculate these metrics. So we have a little asterisk here that says, total number of organisms was less than 100. Organism counts were lower than previous seasons for many samples. We really need more sampling here to know if it's normal to see this low number of organisms, or if maybe it was just a 1 or 2 year oddity. So if anybody's interested in helping to monitor in this area, I have the email for our biomonitoring coordinator, Adriana. We'd love to get you all involved with this program. It's very cool. Okay, and so with that, I have the rest of the time for questions for you all. Please, if you're not following us on social media, or if you're not on our email list, you can scan the QR code and get added to our email list. We always share really cool monthly updates. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Grayson. Any questions?
May I ask several questions?
Yeah.
I had excellent presentation, by the way. I'm curious about your monitoring program for purple algal blooms and monitoring the rate of occurrence. I'm curious, do you mitigate for sampling bias? And if so, how?
Yeah, good question. So when you mean sampling bias, can you tell me more about what you're looking for there?
Right, so inherently the number of blooms that will be reported as occurrences is dependent upon the number of people out there and the rate at which they're available and making observations.
Yeah, so what we do is any volunteer, they're all going out and monitoring roughly at the same frequency. We can't capture all blooms, right? There's some areas where the shoreline is just not accessible, like Cayuga Cliffs. We're never going to be able to monitor in that region. So there's not necessarily like a correction factor built into the numbers. This is just the raw number of blooms. One thing we do to make sure that the coverage is consistent in terms within the different counties, the different zones and segments, is volunteers do submit no bloom reports. So they're also reporting to us if they don't see a bloom.
Yes, that's good. So it sounds like you have some level of correction there
Yeah.
between the no bloom reports and a common rate of making observations.
Yes, I should say last year we received over 650 no bloom reports. So 80 HABs reports might seem disappointing, but we got 650 no bloom. So
I have 2 more questions.
Go ahead.
The mic, yeah. So I'm just curious about CSI's primary role in monitoring scientific research and how that translates into management in action. What's the status of the TMDL? I was looking at your phosphorus graphing from various tributaries. And of course, all those tributaries are showing it's above guidance values, both at the federal and the state levels. So I'm curious about, the TMDL, the status, and what the implications would be for Yarber Creek and the adjacent wastewater treatment facility there.
yeah. Okay, so I have no updates about the TMDL, just like everybody in this room, I'm afraid. But what I can say is that last summer, we submitted 3 years of CSI's monitoring data. So 2020, 21, and 2022 to the DEC for their annual water quality report, their integrated report on water quality, excuse me. And that data is used to determine what water bodies should or should not be on the 303D list. So all of the data, well, not the specific data that you saw, but the data from 2022 would have been submitted. And so that's something that the DEC does have to take into account. In terms of how it could impact the TMDL, I'm afraid that that's not clear to me because it mostly focuses on the point sources, and none of those streams are necessarily point sources.
Forms the point source discussion though, probably around, very like Yager, right?
Yeah.
Where there's a treatment facility nearby.
Mhm.
Okay, my last question for you. Does CSI remain interested in integrating Owasco Lake tributary data into its portal under contract if we were able to find funding to do so?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, all right, good. Yeah, we have several years of tributary monitoring data, and we're still looking at, improving both access to those data as well as analysis and interpretation. Thank you.
Yeah, Grayson, a quick question. In procedure of the volunteers when they want to grab a sample or have the training, are they always out with supply? What is that component?
Yeah, good question. So all of our volunteers, regardless of how long they have been with us, are required to attend an annual training at the beginning of the year. And they're all equipped with their sampling materials. So they should never be without a sampling kit. A kit is a chain of custody sheet, a 1 liter amber glass bottle, and a pair of gloves, of course, because safety is really important when dealing with these HABs. Once they drop off a sample, we give them a replacement kit. So they always have one on hand. Also, because Cayuga Lake is such a long lake and we're located in Ithaca, we have 2 drop-off points where we also stock kits. So the Aurora Fire Department for the east side of the lake, and then for the west side of the lake, we have a drop-off point at one of our volunteers' houses. He calls it the HAB Shack, and you can drop off your samples there, and he will bring them down, or you can pick up your replacement kits. Does that answer your question?
I was just, to get into it, to get it, you can bend over sometimes if it's right there. Do they use like a bucket?
Good question.
How would you grab if you don't want to get in it?
So most of them will either get it directly from the shore, in the sample bottle directly. If folks are using buckets, that's not something that we tend to advise because then you need to make sure you clean it and everything. A lot of folks will collect from their docks. We actually have some photos of people like laying on the ground and trying to get as far as they can, laying off of their dock and filling it up like that. So it's usually directly from the bottles.
Okay, that makes sense.
Do you do any biologic monitoring on the lake?
We did for a little while. So for about 5 years, we did some phytoplankton surveys around the lake to see what type of cyanobacteria are present in the lake under non-bloom conditions. So yes, we have done that before.
Okay. All set, everyone? Anyone online have any questions for Grayson? Okay, dokie, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
That was a really great presentation.
Thank you.
All right, any new business out there?
Frank says thank you.
Yeah. No, okay. Working groups, committee reports, communication and outreach. Michelle, do you want to report for Dan?
So we had our meeting this week to discuss the policy for advertising or job. And I think we kind of decided to play it by ear, and if it matches the WQMA's role or what we think we should be doing, we'll put them in. And we assign people for the newsletters, but if anybody wants to do a blog, a paragraph or so of something, you can send that to me and I'll put it on the website.
Thank you. Anything for invasive species out there?
We got signs from the Finger Lakes Prism for the boat launches. Doug took 3, Union Springs is taking 1, and I still have 1 more. So I'm asking Cayuga if they want a sign.
There was suspicion of water chestnut on Owasco Lake down near Cascade. Do you have an update on that at all?
Well, it's not water chestnut.
It's not, good, thank you.
I have one species, I think it is. I sent it to the Prism, but they couldn't tell from the picture, but I put that into iNaturalist and it came up with one species and it pretty much looks like that to me. A native to the area.
You. All right, nutrient and sediment, anyone have anything to offer? No, maybe we should get together, the crew, before the end of the quarter, June, right? That would be it. Maybe I'll try to set something up for that. Who's the chair or who's the,
Is that
is
still
that
you?
you? Okay. Sounds good. Agency reports, I will go first. So, we've been working with Stony Brook for a long time to try to get the sampling monitoring wells down on a handful of houses on Lake Como. It seems like we might be doing it in 2 weeks,
Yes,
maybe.
I just got a thing, Stuart.
Did you?
on, Yeah.
Okay.
Email, apparently, I think we've identified five sites.
Okay.
That, he had, because they have to drill some wells, what do they call them?
Monitoring wells.
Monitoring wells, they're about, I guess, probably about a couple inches wide,
Mhm.
and drill a hole down. So we got to get a well driller. And he had one guy lined up that was all excited about doing it. It's supposed to come this week
Mhm.
to, look at, look at the sites and make sure that you get their equipment down. They have to have the equipment, bring it down close to the water. And he's not so excited about it, so. He's got, that's the one guy, he's kind of like that. Gonna bring it up here, such a cost, but it's gonna get it done. Anything, approval that I can do, then they're gonna do that, they're gonna have some. Apparently, what I understand is they're gonna put these wells in because they try just the probes not to get through the rocks. So they're gonna drill these wells down, collect some water samples and a number of different times, then kind of cap them off and then come back periodically to couple of years.
Yeah, use auto collectors.
Yeah.
Constituents, and then they'll composite those samples and they'll take them back to Long Island to the lab at Stony Brook for analysis. They'll also be doing soil sampling in the area to check for iron, calcium, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And they're looking for designation of permit DEC.
My understanding is what they're looking for is the presence of phosphorus between the
Between the
lake
septic system
and
and
the
the lake.
septic system.
Correct.
And, so that when they can identify some that have, show stuff, because I volunteered to be one of them, I've got a fairly new system.
Mhm.
And when they put it in, they said, when the water goes through the leach field part of it, you could drink the water from underneath it. So I was just see if it
Mhm.
shows up that way.
Yeah, and I think
But-
the long-term goal is to end up installing phosphorus removal systems once the technology becomes available.
Yeah.
And so this will give us a good baseline of what we're seeing now with different types of septic systems.
One of the sites that I did get a volunteer to do is, the guy is on the south end of the lake who's doing the low spots with his yard floods a lot and his septic is, not the greatest.
Yeah.
He wants to replace it, but
Yeah,
I think it would give some good sampling,
for sure.
show, evidence of phosphorus coming through into the lake.
Mhm.
I'm very interested to see what the results are.
And then I think I may have mentioned last month, we're already starting to discuss, have response, in relation to drinking water for Owasco Lake and Cayuga Lake and what our process is going to be this year. We've reached out and gotten a lot of really good information back from EPA since the state doesn't really seem to want to provide much to us in terms of guidance. So we have some good information from EPA, and we're starting to get back into that to make sure that our messaging is clear and consistent and informational, and advises people on how to react if we do see something in the drinking water. So I'm sure we'll discuss soon. That's all I have, I believe.
People online, is this any better?
I can hear you clear, Michelle. I think the rest of it could be a function of how far people are away from the mic.
I was having an unstable connection, so I just
Okay.
plugged you in.
Okay, thank you.
Can you mute your line, see if that helps? Why are we so small? I kept trying all the different, I kept trying all the different galleries, but.
Just hit view and select ourselves. Speaker. Oh, okay, well. Oh, well. Okay, Doug, Parks Department.
Good morning, everyone. We were able to get to our opening of the Nature Center on the 24th, so that was great to have the building open. Thank you for those of you who were able to attend. It is now open, so if you weren't able to attend, please go visit the site. The hours are up on the website for the Nature Center, so it was very exciting. We had a lot of representation from the state, county, from this board. So, go attend a program or go walk on the beach. One of those. It's a beautiful site to really see. And obviously, we thank all of our contractors and all of our partners. 2020 was an odd time to start the construction process of a building, so that was interesting. Recommended, but so that's great. More activity up at the park. We're doing a lot of spring stuff, lawn repair. We are establishing and expanding some of the buffer zones that we have, like around the channel that goes around the back of Deauville Island. We do have some work that will be some road maintenance and things that will be happening down on the Owasco Flats. Yeah, other than that, we're just excited to keep on trucking through and throw a lot of work at Doug as we come across things that need to be done.
We're always there for you.
I know, thank you.
The dogs unite.
Exactly.
Sorry, I can't help myself.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Michelle?
I have nothing.
Nothing to report. Great. Soil and water, other Doug.
All right, so we're getting ready for the season. Budget and the New York State budget was passed, so there was good news that there was a line item for $1.2 million to help support the Eastern Finger Lakes Coalition that was recently formed. So we're working on some paperwork now associated with that to hopefully get that moving even faster. We've been working on it for over a year now. It's good to see some funding come in for it.
Doug, that's soil and water groups, right?
Correct. It's 11 soil and water conservation districts comprised from the Eastern Finger Lakes, so pretty much from Chemung County over to us and on the top of Portland. Yeah, it's really good. We've been meeting every month and then other ones needed. So the goal is to collectively be able to then search for funding that we can all share. Because we work on watersheds, we do work on municipal boundaries, obviously, the Cayuga County soil and water, but when opportunities exist to help out Cayuga Lake watershed as a whole, we'll partner with Central County, we'll partner with Tompkins County and kind of cross some of those lines and then thinking about the watershed, just similar to some of the others. So it's exciting. It's real exciting. And the hope that that commitment is there from year to year. Because the worst thing would be, the first pot is for staffing, to help boost up staffing. So when people have natural resource concerns, we can go out and do provide the proper TA to address the problem. So the districts are excited about that because the phone constantly rings and there's only so many things you can get to. As many of us, I mean, I'm preaching to the choir, but it was good to see the state help out. We were able to finish an AEM inventory. I know it was high on our list for a couple of months, so we targeted the Wasco watershed, and we wanted to see the AEM is the Ag Environmental Management Program. So we wanted to see, how many farms are in the watershed and how many people are participating, because you hear a lot of people say, well, the farmers aren't participating in AIM, and we're like, a lot of them are. So we buckled down, and Haley, she unfortunately left our office to work for the DEC, but we backfilled her position, and there's another staff member coming in the next couple of weeks as well. But she had an opportunity to just focus solid on our AIM program and do an inventory. We found that we had 167 farms in the West Lake watershed, and out of those 167, now I'm talking just about the Cayuga County portion. I mean, there's a little sliver of Onondaga, and then Tompkins County has some as well. But we found that 138 farms participated to some level. Now there's 5 different levels. You got your general information, you got a little bit more detailed information, kind of the questionnaire type of phases. And then phase 3 or tier 3 is where you get into the planning. Tier 4 is implementation, and tier 5 is, okay, we implement the stuff, how's it working, how's it functioning, you go back in and check it all back out. So, at any of those levels, and tier 1 and 2 are important because we get to know the operation, what their needs are, do like a needs assessment. And so to have that equated to about 83%, which, without looking at the statistics, I bet that's higher than the state average. So that was the in-depth dive we took in Owasco. We want to do that with Cayuga. We want to do that with the Seneca River. We want Skinny Antlers. Those guys already have a pretty good handle on things with Mark Berger's program, but we want to get a better assessment. So, and then the goal would be, it took a lot of time, so I don't think we'd be able to do each of the watersheds every year. But if we can rotate around and keep it reasonably updated, that's our goal. So. A lot of good stuff.
Thanks, Doug. Solid waste management program, and let's all try to speak up really good and loud for the people online having a hard time hearing. Evan?
Yeah, not too much from me. We held our electronics event over the weekend. We had a pretty good turnout. Weather was nice. I'd say we got almost 3 truckloads of electronics, so it's a little bit higher than usual, which is good. Other than that, Doug and I have been doing some behind the scenes work, prepping for our tire collection event, which is scheduled for June 8th. And that's all I got.
Okay. Cornell Cooperative? Do you have anything? No? Okay. Steve Auburn.
Good morning. Kind of the dovetail on the solid waste, the city of Auburn is considering a resolution, I think tonight, on deconstruction versus demolition to start to kind of turn the dial a little bit and how we handle demolitions within the city of Auburn, to at least consider it and potentially start to offer up requests for pricing from contractors to deconstruct buildings versus demolish and fill in for buildings. So my guess is it'll be quite a bit more expensive to go down that path, but at least starting to build that into our specifications and our requests for pricing as we start to move towards being a little bit more mindful about our waste and how we handle existing old structures. So kind of an interesting process. I know it's pretty well supported by a number of different groups within Auburn as well.
Seth, is there like a Habitat for Humanity or Restore in Auburn that repurpose some of those materials to move forward?
Potentially, yeah. There's some there's a place down in Ithaca, I can't think of the name of it right now, that Restore.
Yeah.
Maybe collaborating and coordinating with folks like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, the first first choice is always to try to remodel a home, but oftentimes by the time the city of Auburn or another entity is able to get their hands on a structure, it's so far beyond its ability to repair. The demolition is really the only option, but in lieu of demolition, maybe some deconstruction. So, City of Auburn is going through its budget process. Municipal utilities presented a few weeks back, and within the water fund, we're looking to increase our financial contribution to the management council, do a couple of different special projects this year, including dam assessments, PVC dam assessments of Mill Street, North Division Street, and our state dam. It's a 10-year required engineering study on the stability of those structures. So we'll be working through that process this year. We're also going to be entering into negotiations with our wholesale water customers over the course of the next year. If all goes well, 1 year. It may take longer than that. Pretty complicated process, and we want to make sure we do it right so that we can repeat and foster good relationships with the communities that we serve. Wasco Lake elevation is up, basically at or near summertime elevation. Shout out to John West and the crew at the filtration plant to do that monitoring and adjustment on a daily basis. We're still waiting on a grant agreement from the DEC to do the Wasco Lake subwatershed stream assessment this year. And tonight, council will be considering a resolution that I put forward to do additional design work on our overflow retention facility, which is a integral part of the $25 million grant that we received from the state with the water quality benefits associated with replacing our existing overflow retention facility at the wastewater treatment plant that handles flows when they are in excess of 25 million gallons per day flow. Our overflow retention facility is activated, and it's another permitted outfall to handle flows during wet weather. And it's currently our original wastewater treatment plant. So it's from the 1930s. As you can imagine, the concrete that supported that structure built in the 30s is in very bad condition and wasn't designed to be an overflow retention facility. It's designed to be a primary wastewater treatment plant. So this will add another $12 million of investment into our existing $74 million of investment that we're doing at our wastewater treatment plant for future biosolids management and continual good quality wastewater treatment that we currently have at the facility. Busy.
Thank you, Seth. Anyone have anything for Town of Wasco? Okay, Cayuga Lake report, anyone? I think we got a really good Cayuga Lake report already.
Yeah.
I think
Liz and
I'm
Roxanne.
sorry, Zoom, so I can't even see, or whatever this thing is.
We have Liz and then Roxy.
Okay.
Great.
And
Can you hear
Michelle's
me?
computer
This is Liz.
battery really quickly and it can't charge, so let's pick up the pace here.
Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. So I have a few things to report. The network is hosting our event for Cayuga Lake for the Lake Friendly Living Coalition's Awareness Month this May, which just kicked off. Our event is actually going to be a bit of an encore event in early June on the 2nd. It's a tour at the Plantsman Nursery. that's going to be open to the public. You just have to register online, and there will be a 10% discount on the native plants for healthy watersheds for attendees. So I hope to see some folks there. We just wrapped up our big push on Embrace the Lake litter cleanups for the spring. I don't have the numbers all put together yet, but one of the most successful events was in Newfield, which over 50 volunteers attended, and they removed 1,800 pounds of trash from Newfield roadside ditches. And we were also able to work with the Land Trust and pull about 700 pounds of trash out of the Fall Creek Etna Preserve. So that's been really awesome to see the community come together and do this very tangible work and visible, with visible improvements to watershed health. And so we also have an event that's going to be at Myers Park in Lansing for New York State Invasive Species Awareness Month. That's going to be a paddle with the Finger Lakes Prism, doing some survey work and intro to plants of Cayuga Lake and invasive species ID. We are gearing up for another season of sea slap sampling. So the network has recruited and continues to sponsor the 4 sites on Cayuga Lake for sea slap. That's bi-monthly sampling, June through September, and open water in the lake. And like Grayson mentioned, we will be having our community conference in mid-June. Really close to getting that finalized, so I will pass around the information when we have it ready. And we will be, we just hired our communications intern for the summer. She'll be working with me and the Community Science Institute to put out the weekly summaries of HABS reports that are shared through our listserv. We have over 1,500 people subscribed to that. So if you're interested in getting those summaries each week, you can sign up on our website. And the big sort of unexpected news here is that the network will be looking for new office space. We've been hosted by Wells College since 2008. And now with them closing, we'll be out by June 30th. So we're looking for creative solutions to, to start this new chapter. So I will keep folks updated as we move forward in that.
Thanks, Liz. Roxy, you have anything to add?
Just a couple things. So we've had a lot of presentations on funding this year so far, and that has resulted in at least one new potential project that Isaac is looking into. So that's great. Upcoming this month, we'll have a focus on Seneca County efforts, soil and water planning, health department, cooperative extension. In June, there'll be a presentation on salt mine geology. And in July, ditching, again, one of the Dougs will be involved heavily, ditching work in the watershed. So just give you a preview of those. We are trying to develop a special meeting in August, not on our normal schedule, for state outreach, where we would invite up a bunch of elected officials, a lot of downstate folks, to highlight the products and importance of the Finger Lakes region, particularly the dairy industry and wineries and craft breweries, that sort of thing, that resonate with downstate elected officials, but they might not have a good grasp of the scope and size of the industry. And then also pointing out the responsibilities of the municipalities and some of the limitations, and actually, bringing that all together for all the stakeholders. We're working on a couple tools, municipal model laws list, which once put together will have regional or really even statewide application. And we have already had some municipalities reach out and ask for things they might want to include in their waterfront plans. And another tool to cross-reference the CWIO's Restoration and Protection Plan with the HABS Action Plan and the draft TMDL, so that we can try and prioritize our efforts and look for areas of coordination in now, instead of waiting for the TMDL to be completed. And finally, Isaac has been pulling together a bunch of updated information on projects, and the technical advisory committee will be reviewing those on Monday and ranking them and, prioritizing them for his work. He's new to the job and some things are already underway, so he'll still have capacity. So just because we do a ranking here in 2024, I don't feel like you can't submit something else moving forward because we still have capacity to build. I think that's it for now. Oh, we did send a letter of support, supporting the Finger Lakes Land Trust request to the state that they improve their process to acquire conservation lands and make that a lot more efficient and quicker process. That's all I have.
Thanks, Roxy. I'm gonna switch us over here just preemptively.
Okay. I don't know why it's not charging.
And I seem to have good connection here too, so. Should I just, yeah, I'd say just get off there.
Oh, if I leave, will that won't terminate?
Oh, yeah, it will. You wanna just mute and turn the camera off?
And then I figured out how to. Whoops. So click on there.
Mm-hmm, and pin it.
Yep, it's off.
Okay. I think that's just about everyone. Okay, can you guys hear us a little better or differently now online?
Can hear you well, yes.
Oh, I have to turn my
Yeah, that's
volume on. Okay, how about now?
Yes, we can hear you good.
Seems good.
Seems good. Okay. Nice and delayed. Okay, any report for Cross Lake or Summit River? I don't see Carl. Lake Home, Duck Lake?
He called, they couldn't make it.
Okay, Pat.
Okay, as I reported last month, we're still in the process of trying to get our wetland permits so we can do our weed treatment, and I'm waiting now. We signed a contract with Solitude to do a survey, plant survey and management plan for our lake. I think it costs around $11,000 to have that done. And that should be, they can't do that really until May and June, when the weeds are up high enough so they can get good samples. So what that means is that the time they get that plant report done and submit it to DEC, it's gonna be too late to do any treatment this year. So we're hoping that we can start getting that permit in place towards the end of this year, so that 2025 we can start treating our lake. I've also been in contact with William Brown. He's contacted me. He's a program analyst with Finger Lakes Institute at Hobart and William Smith Colleges, and they're doing want to do a study of the plant. Diversity of the number of lakes in New York State, and our lake is one of them. So I have shared with him. We have a state of the lake report done with him, quite detailed about the plants done in 2005. I sent that to him, or linked to him for that, and I told him that when we have our report, we'll share that with him so we'll help them so they don't have to go doing the whole thing over again. We are going to be having our spring meeting for the Lake Association on Saturday of Memorial Day weekend, which is the 25th. At formerly the Lake Home Wind, it's changed hands now. Now it's called the Watering Hole. We got a new lady running that thing, so she seems to be doing good. We're gonna be doing C-SLAP testing this year again. We're gonna do it 4 times this year. Beavers, it's like keeping the water level. Right now, it's an acceptable level, for springtime, it's, staying above where it was last year. I've looked at a couple of the dams down by the south end, outside of the Nature Conservatives, that's on the south end of the lake. There's a major dam, we have a pipe through it. There's a dam there that's being maintained, but the water, I'm looking at the water around it, it seems to be lower right in that area. But I have a feeling, I haven't been up Just got back from Florida last week, so I haven't been down into the creek at all. I'm sure there's a big dam about halfway down. It's holding back a lot of the water, which we can't get at. That's part of the Finger Lakes, land trust, so we have to get permission for them to do anything with the DEC. Other than that, everything seems to be going good. People are starting to put their boats in the water, and get their docks ready.
Thanks, Pat. Anything for Little Sodas Bay out there online? Which
Yeah,
is
this is
online.
Rich. Hi, can folks hear me?
Is,
Can you hear me?
it says you're talking, but
I'm
I think it
unmuted.
is coming through the TV. Oh,
Looks like-
online can hear him, but not here. How does computers work? It's
Okay, can you hear me in the room?
I'm like,
see. How about now? You want to try again?
Yep, can you hear me now in the
Okay.
room?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Good morning, everybody. It's Rich Adcock here this month for the Little Sodas Bay Betterment Association. Couple things I wanted to inform the county of. On May 18th, the Bay Betterment Association, in cooperation with the Village of Fairhaven, will be promoting a shoreline cleanup effort in the community. We have got a volunteer organization in the village who is going to work with us to provide containers for people to bring materials to throw away, to dispose of. And then the Bay Betterment Association, in cooperation with the village, will properly sort those materials and dispose of them properly. So again, that's on May 18th. First time we've tried this type of an effort. So it'll be a learning process, but we're hoping to get good cooperation from the community. I don't know, Michelle, I sent you an email this morning with some photos. I was hoping maybe you could share, but I don't think it's maybe possible. But the Bay Betterment Association was approached by a couple of concerned residents in the community about a potential safety issue. When they did the West Barrier Bar shoreline protection project, one of the things they did on the bay side was they put in a lot of natural habitat plantings and then protected those with a bunch of core logs along the shore to prevent erosion. Those core logs have since degraded. They are biodegradable, so that's not a surprise. But the rebar that they used to anchor those core logs is now sticking out above the water line. And several people are concerned about safety if people are walking down in that area, whatever. So I don't know who we need to contact. I was hoping maybe someone in the association could give us some information on who we might be able to contact to see if those, oh, beautiful, there it is. So yeah, so that's just one section of the area. Now you can see they did bend the rebar over in most cases. There's some that aren't bent over too well, but that's what we have there now. The core logs have since either degraded or eroded away. And that's kind of what it looks like along there now. It's aesthetically not very appealing, and people are concerned that if the water level does come up, they're going to be an issue for anyone that, we have a lot of people that launch kayaks in that area and, you know, even come in and, you know, wade and stuff like that. So I guess the question is, I don't know if anybody has a suggestion who we need to contact or who can be informed of this concern that's been brought to our association.
Was the original work done by Army Corps?
Well, I believe it was. I believe it was, but I don't have confirmation on that. There's been some finger pointing back and forth on who, I guess they contracted an engineering firm, but it's like, yeah, who? The village is hesitant to go in there and do anything. The village certainly has the capability of going in and they're pulling that rebar out, but they don't know whether they have the authorization to do so.
I would think Army Corps or DEC, and I would just let them know that if you don't hear a response from them in the next 2 weeks, that the village will be conducting the work for safety reasons. And then if someone has some sort of issue with that, then you'll know who the responsible party is. They'll step right forward.
Does anybody have a specific contact that we could reach out to in either the Army Corps or the DEC?
I don't know anyone at Army Corps specifically.
Here, the Buffalo office is in this building.
Okay.
Like, who did the?
I think the Corps did the project. That's if I remember correctly from being up there a few months ago. But we can. I'll look into it and I'll let you know.
Yeah, that would be excellent. And one of my thought process was that maybe if we could get some help from the county to actually bring this to the appropriate organization's attention, that it might have a little more clout than just, me or some resident, just, sending an email. So yeah, any support or information we get, definitely would appreciate that.
All right, I'll keep in contact with you guys.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And Michelle has both Gary Clark and my contact information. So.
Okay.
Perfect. That's about it. Other than that, our water level's right on the historical average, within an inch or so. So that's all good. Yeah, same as previous reports. People are putting docks in and boats in, and there's quite a bit of fishing activity. Lake fishing is really good out in Lake Ontario, so things are starting to get pretty active up around Little Slotus Bay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Owasco Lake.
Yes, so just some updates within our education efforts. Our volunteers have been into the 7th grade classrooms throughout the city and county, teaching about watersheds. We have 2 gardening events in May, one this weekend down in Moravia at the state park, Fillmore Glen, helping them with a garden and some trail maintenance. And then on the 25th, we are working with the management council, doing our lake friendly living event for the month of May. And we're excited about getting down to the nature preserve there, the Fillmore Nature Preserve, to assist in putting in a garden. And great potential there, I think, with time. Great things can be happening there. Within our conservation remediation, we're already out with our volunteers doing trip sampling. We'll be doing that through September. Our volunteers for C-SLAP are all set to go. And we're working on filling our zones for shoreline monitoring. So that is in progress. For some of our outreach efforts, we do have a team of volunteers going through the watershed and finding our signs that were put out about 2 decades ago. And we're doing remediation efforts on those and getting our new logo in place. On the 5th of June, besides having our general elections, we will have someone from the Cornell, New York, Hemlock Woolly Adelgid initiative talking about our efforts. We're about 6 years into our 10-year campaign here in the watershed, and wanted to bring folks up to speed on that. On the 26th of June, we have our general membership event at the Owasco Yacht Club, and you're all invited to attend. It starts at 5. We will have a float in the July 4th parade. First time ever. I guess we're open to many different things for outreach efforts. So we're looking for some volunteers with children or grandchildren to be in the float on the 4th of July. We are promoting the farm tours of the North American Manure Expo. And for you, if you haven't heard, there's an early bird special. If you get your reservations in now, you can get a good deal on the tours. And there are, 4 tours, I believe, that are going to be available on the 17th of July. So Aula is doing a lot. We're working with our partners and staying busy and positive. So thank you.
Thanks, Anne.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm looking for a contact and either here or
I can.
maybe I'll just walk over there.
Call it.
Yeah, okay, we'll do that. Skinny Atlas Lake report. Who was taking this one up?
I got it. Thank you for Michelle for sending out our newsletter to everyone. That covered quite a bit of everything that we've got going on. Our annual meeting is back at Lourdes Camp this year on June 30th. After several years, we've had a table at being down there. We have also gone into on the Lourdes side, 10 Mile Creek project, significant donation of about 10 grand. They're doing a wildlife habitat improvement project over there in 10 Mile Creek. We've got boat launch stewards start May 18th. And the training, we've got training for macrophyte survey at 6 o'clock at St. James Church where our office is, May 9th. And that's for anyone along the lake that wants to, help take the invasive, the vegetation and surveys. So that'll be training, and that's anybody from any lake that wants to come and get that training. It's May 9th at 6. The 9 element plan meeting, public meeting number 3 is Tuesday, May 21st, 7 o'clock at the lodge at Welch Allen campus. And that's the 3rd meeting to see how far the 9 element plan is moving forward. And as far as Hemlock, the southwest side, particularly in the town of Niles, has got a very significant, pressure from the HWA, and we've been working along there for quite a number of years, treating that. And now we are moving down a little bit further in the Niles, Hooker Brook, that's Long Ridings, and they've evaluated that's a very steep ravine. And when that washes and those trees give it up, it just sends rocks and it just sends tons of stuff. So we're going to focus on getting in there for treatment, and that's in the town of Niles. And Frank, I see you're on.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Patty.
Take out the rest of it here with the research people from the University of Bern, and I'll leave it up to you.
Yeah, I don't have, other than or we're ready for our milfoil control, gets going mid-May. Stewards at the launch, as you mentioned, but I don't have anything else to add. I really appreciate you delivering that. And then if there's just any questions, and just reinforcing, Amy Slentz with Finger Lakes Institute, Finger Lakes Prism, will be hosting that training on May 9th, and just wanted to reinforce and ensure if anybody from Owasco or wants to travel, it's a nice in-person opportunity for anyone who wants to engage volunteers with the macrophyte survey program that Finger Lakes Prism does and leads. So I'll be reaching out to Tisco Lake, but certainly Owasco, anybody else close enough that's worth the drive. It's May 9th, 6 p.m. You can email me. We do have registration, but it's related to, it will get confusing because it's there's messaging related to SLA volunteers, and folks when they sign up might feel like they're volunteering for SLA, but it really is open for all the lakes, anyone with shoreline access that wants to learn about doing these rake tosses and doing this program. So I can follow up with some lake folks too, and if you just want to send folks, and we have walk-ins, the parish hall should host quite a bit of folks. So happy to host that.
Okay, thanks, Patty and Frank. Aaron.
Hi. Our big thing is, right, we just said we've got the Skinny Atlas 9-element plan, public meeting number 3. That is set for May 21st at the Lodge in Skinny Atlas Falls at 7 p.m. So we're real excited about this. You know, if everything goes right, we're kind of in the home stretch for this 9-element plan. The plan itself is currently being looked at by Department of State and DEC. And ideally, they're going to give us some comments and then let us put it out to the public prior to that meeting so everybody can take a look at it and then talk about it at the meeting. So that's the big thing. For anybody who's interested, I would kind of be surprised, but we have one more workshop left in our stormwater workshop series. This one is focused on strategies for MS4 success. I don't think anybody else here is involved in an MS4, but if you're very curious about it, what illicit discharge detection looks like, or catch basin mapping, that kind of thing, that's going to be May 14th. And you can shoot me an email if you're real interested in registering. That's all I got.
Thanks, Aaron. Anyone have anything for Great Lakes? Prism. Finger Lakes Water Hub. Moscow Lake Watershed Management Council.
I'm here. I'd like to share with our working partners, with all of you, just a physical copy of our 2023 annual inspection report. These copies will be made available to our working partners and agencies as well at their offices. And if you have any questions about our efforts from last year, please let me know. We'll be presenting as well. Yeah, absolutely. With the City of Auburn on Thursday. And then, yeah, we're looking forward to that. And with the city, we'll share, 2023 efforts. It's a few extra for the office. As well as sort of 2024 initiatives and outlooks for the rest of the year. So we're really looking forward to that opportunity. Just briefly on the status of the Fillmore Nature Preserve. So we have several municipal highway departments working there this morning, finishing up the public access lot there, on which we will construct an educational kiosk. So we've been sort of managing that project, moving it forward. We also have Design Connect. It's a program out of Cornell University that are wrapping up their efforts for both trail mapping and marking for us at the Nature Preserve. And they're actually presenting on their efforts at the university this evening. Looking forward to that presentation. We also will have Prism out there this summer, taking a look, helping us with the plant inventory, and some of that information will be included on the kiosk. And then we're really looking forward to working with Olive there for the Lakefront Living event. All are welcome. That's on the 25th of this month. It's a volunteer event. Essentially what it looks like is we're cutting a perimeter around the access lot. We'll be sowing pollinator wildflower seed and covering with compost. So a bit of a labor project, but Seth, scouts are welcome. I don't know, we're looking for extra sets of hands. So if you're looking for that sort of thing. Rules and regulations. So they were under consent judgment between the water purveyors and the Lake Association and New York State. And that process was pushed back and pushed from the local level to Albany. So I understand that will be back underway once the SAPA process reaches the public feedback portion of that process. And then the consent judgment order will be back underway in the form of a lawsuit. Okay, and then the 9-element committee. So that's our committee that we formed to drive implementation of our clean water plan. I think we're making some headway there. A couple of different grants that have come to fruition. One of which is a Sustain Our Great Lakes grant that has the objective of stream restoration along the Owasco Inlet. And we have most of our regulatory work done for that. Some field surveys, working closely with Cayuga Soil and Water, and EA out of Syracuse, New York. And then hopefully we'll be looking at actual implementation as early as probably next year. I don't know if we'll get to it this fall. There's still some design engineering work that needs to be done before we can move forward. Lastly, I will report to this group if you're ever, in common contact communication with our staff from the inspection division. We are now void of watershed inspectors, so we're back to the table with recruiting staff and looking at a division manager or lead inspector position. And we're underway with developing the position description and hopefully we're posting that position soon. So I'll share the description with at least several of you if you're up to assisting us with soliciting for a new hire. So thanks so much.
Adam, question, if we come across something that doesn't really fall under health department regulation, but would be of concern to the management council, what do we do?
Right. So, I mean, so as you know, the departments of health, the county level jurisdiction enforce our watershed rules and regulations. In terms of getting boots on the ground out there, we have none currently. So,
Okay.
we're expeditious here,
Mhm.
trying to get, boots on the ground once again.
But what if something like, doesn't amount to a water quality violation in terms of like rules and regs, but it should be addressed so it doesn't end up there? Like, I'm
Right,
just trying to figure
that's
out.
most of what we do.
Yeah,
Right. So,
And Jordan, you can let us know,
yeah, okay.
like always,
All right.
if there's any issues.
I'll email Abby.
Yeah, we're, right, we'll always be out and about, so.
Okay,
We-
all right, we'll stay in contact.
Exactly, just let us
Okay.
know.
Okay.
And of course, that's where we shine when we have staff, right? So,
Yes.
we call voluntary compliance, right? I mean, any compliance without
Yeah.
any punitive action. So, but I appreciate that. Thank you, Doug, for filling in for us, and we'll keep everyone posted.
Okay.
Was that prison, was that did you apply for that one? Is that the one you?
This is they solicited for proposals for what they're calling their CAP program, community assistance program.
Yeah.
So they accepted our project proposal for essentially, it's going to be an invasive species and native species of concern inventory. And we'll use that for updating panels on our educational kiosk. Sure.
Because I applied for Sterling Major, so.
Oh, okay.
I helped Doug Oregon. Not Doug, Jim.
Okay,
Thanks.
all set. Thanks, Adam.
Sure.
Anyone for Partners for Healthy Watersheds? No, nature concern, or unless, did you have anything? Did you talk to Greg or anything?
We're hitting the fields these days.
I bet. I see a lot of equipment out there these days.
They're rolled.
Nature Conservancy? Okay, anything else? Anyone? Motion to
I
adjourn?
got it. Oh, I'll be like that.
Whoever Michelle puts down, I think she's a little confused on who got that
What
one.
was the second?
Oh.
Okay, Doug and Seth. Who, was that anything online? Thank you guys so much for joining. Let's see, Aaron, thank you for accommodating. We do our best. Thank you.
Thanks, honey.
Take care.
See ya.